studying about the whereabouts of Indian Constitution, and under this domain, yesterday we discussed about the meaning of constitution and polity, the two terms which are very correlated ones. From there onwards, today we will be starting, or rather you can say extending our discussion. Our today's topic is classification of constitution. Okay, see, when it comes to the classification of constitution, it can be classified into two different manners. In one manner, we classify it on the basis of its documentation, and on other manner, we can classify it, on the basis of the philosophy embedded in it. Okay. So first kind of classification is made on the basis of documentation, and second classification is based on the principle of philosophy embedded in it. Philosophy embedded in it means philosophy enshrined in it. See, the popular mode of classification is basically on the basis of documentation, and as per this one, constitution is classified into either in the form of written constitution or in the form of an unwritten constitution. So first of all, let's have a look upon the difference between written constitution and unwritten constitution. See, as we discussed yesterday, that no matter whether a constitution is of written type or of an unwritten type, it is obligatory that their contents must be given in verbal format, that is in writing. Means the provisions of a written constitution are undoubtedly given in writing form. Similarly, the provisions of an unwritten constitution, they are also given in writing format. Now the question is, if both are the written documents, then why a particular kind of constitution is referred to as the written constitution, while the other kind of constitution is referred to as the unwritten constitution? What is the basis? See, here the principal basis you need to know in order to make bifurcation between the written and unwritten constitution is, no doubt, written is also a document, unwritten is also a document. But wherever you find a written constitution, it is always given in the form of single document. Are you getting my point or not? Single document. But this is not the case when it comes to an unwritten constitution. Of course, unwritten constitution is in the form of written document, but this is not merely a document but a group of documents. Unwritten constitution is basically a group of documents, while written constitution is a single document. This is the first difference prevailing between written and unwritten constitution. One thing more, written constitution is always a result of some sort of institutional arrangement. More precisely, you can say the constituent assembly of the country concerned. For example, you might be knowing about the fact that the Constitution of India was drafted by one constituent assembly, and that constituent assembly is known as Constituent Assembly of India. Constituent Assembly of India drafted Indian Constitution. They started drafting the Constitution from December 1946. Okay, and it was finally accomplished in 26th of November 1949, which is basically the date of enactment of Indian Constitution. But since no constituent assembly prevails in case of an unwritten constitution, you can't say that what is the date of enactment of a particular kind of unwritten constitution? See, written constitution is always enacted one. Enacted means there must be a particular date on which, you know, the nation, or you can say the constituent assembly of the country concerned, adopt its constitution. In case of unwritten constitution, since there exists no constituent assembly, so we can't say what is the date of enactment of an unwritten constitution. Unwritten constitutions are largely the result of, you can say traditions, conventions, customs, whatever existed in a country. Based on those aspects, an unwritten constitution is provided a shape. But in case of written constitution, it is basically a result of some sort of well-to-do decisions taken by the institutional arrangement in the form of constituent assembly of that country. Right? Listen me first. I will make you write all such things. So, two major differences we faced out of discussions related to difference between written and unwritten constitutions till now. First difference, I want to make you recall is written constitution is always given in the form of single document, while unwritten constitution is basically a group of documents. Second thing, the written constitution is formulated by some sort of institutional arrangement, more precisely you can say the constituent assembly, while in case of an unwritten constitution we find no constituent assembly. Third difference, a written constitution is always a result of some sort of cautious decisions, taken by the constituent assembly. This is not as per se in case of an unwritten constitution. Rather, unwritten constitution is basically the result of, the traditions, customs, conventions, etc. prevailing in the country. Okay, these are the three major differences. Now let's have a switch upon the fourth difference. See, as we have discussed in case of, evaluating the meaning of constitution, that it's the constitution of a country only which makes us know about the, extent of the powers to be enjoyed by the different organs of the government. No matter whether you are talking about a written constitution or you are talking about an unwritten constitution. If it is obvious that you are talking about constitution, it is more than sufficient to let you know, that what is the extent of the powers to be enjoyed by the different organs of the government. Okay, but see the differences. The difference is, see, constitutions, here is the written constitution, here is the unwritten constitution, right? As I told you, it's the constitution itself which makes us know about the fact that what is the domain to be enjoyed by the different organs of the government. What's about the different organs of the government? There are altogether three different organs of the government, right? Legislative, executive, and judiciary. It's the constitution only which tells you that what would be, the extent of the powers, the degree of the powers, the domain of the powers to be enjoyed by each and every organs of the government, right? See, organs of the government, legislative, executive, and judiciary. Wherever you find a written type of constitution, always remember judiciary enjoys wider jurisdiction, wider power as comparison to the remaining organs of the government like the legislative and the executive. So see the pattern. In case of written constitution, such type of pattern evolves. Here judiciary enjoys greater power as comparison to the legislative and the executive. Is it okay? In this way, the written constitution, acclimatizes you about the fact that what is the extent of the powers enjoyed by different organs of the government. But in case of an unwritten constitution, see the difference. Out of the three different organs of the government and the powers to be enjoyed by them, we always notice that it is the legislative which enjoys the widest power. Means in case of an unwritten constitution, there exists no judicial supremacy. Always remember, wherever across the globe, wherever throughout the world, if an unwritten constitution prevails, there exists no judicial supremacy. Rather, there exists this is the problem. Some sort of obstacles are always required. Anyway, actually, some messages, display on my mobile screen. Yes. See, legislative authority enjoys widest power. Then it comes the judicial authority, and finally the executive. This is the pattern of power sharing in case of an unwritten constitution. Listen me again, one by one. I told you the constitution, no matter whether you are talking about written or unwritten type of constitution, it always makes us know about the fact that what is the limit of powers to be enjoyed by different organs of the government. And when we become particular regarding even a type of written constitution or a type of unwritten constitution, things are made more lucid. For say, in case of written constitution, judiciary enjoys widest power. Okay. And then comes legislative and executive. But in case of an unwritten constitution, a clear-cut pattern can be faced. For example, here legislative enjoys widest power. Then on second number, it comes judiciary, and finally the executive, means executive enjoys least power. For example, here judiciary can declare the act or decision of executive invalid if it violates the provision of an unwritten constitution. But the judiciary cannot declare the legislations or decisions made by the legislative invalid on the ground of if it violates the constitutional provision. This is what the pattern of power sharing amongst the different organs of the government in case of an unwritten constitution. Are you getting my point or not? See, in case of written constitution, as it is visible to you that what is the pattern of power sharing followed amongst the different organs of the government. Remember, since here judiciary enjoys the widest jurisdiction, so it can declare either the decisions made by the legislative authority or the decisions made by the executive authority invalid only on the grounds of if they are violating the constitutional provisions. Means suppose the legislative authority of a country makes some sort of legislation, and that legislation is not confirming the constitutional provision, rather it confronts the constitutional provision, then on the ground of it being confronting the constitutional provision, the judiciary shall declare that legislation as invalid, null and void. Similarly, if some decisions are to be made by the executive authority and that is not in the line of constitutional provision, again the judiciary can declare that decision invalid. Means here the decisions of legislative and executive both are subject to guard by the judiciary. Both are subject to vigilance by the judiciary. But in case of an unwritten constitution, only the decisions of executive are subjected to the vigilance of judiciary, not the decisions of legislative. Why? Because in case of an unwritten constitution, there always exists the legislative supremacy. There always exists the legislative supremacy. Have you got my point? In single point differentiation, you can remember it in a manner like, in case of an unwritten constitution, we find the supremacy of the legislative authority. But in case of a written constitution, we find the supremacy of judicial authority. Here judiciary is supremo. Is it okay now? Why it is so? Why it happens? The reason is simple. See, in case of written constitution, basically the governments are the result of written constitution. But in case of an unwritten constitution, it is the constitution itself which is the result of governing body, or you can say in precise term, here unwritten constitution is made according to the wishes of the legislative authority of the country, or in simplest possible term you can say parliament, because ours have such type of provision, means ours have parliamentary system. Here Indian Parliament is the supreme legislative authority of the country, supreme legislative authority, and state legislatures are basically the other legislative authorities. Anyway, see, since unwritten constitutions are the result of the acts of parliament, or you can say the acts of legislature, so there exists no difference between an ordinary parliamentary law or a constitutional law. Both are the same things. But in case of written constitution, here government or its organs, that is legislative, executive and judiciary, they are basically the result of the written constitution itself. Written constitution is not something which is brought into existence via means of the act of legislative authority or the parliament. No, here the parliament is not the here the parliament is the result of constitution. But in case of an unwritten constitution itself is the result of the parliament. This is the reason why judiciary has no jurisdiction to put a vigilance upon the act of legislative wherever an unwritten constitution prevails. But in case of written constitution, judiciary has the jurisdiction to put a guard upon the act of legislature. Why? Because these all organs are the result of written constitution. They are, made via means of the provisions given in the constitution. This is the reason why I told you earlier that written constitution is basically the result of some type of institutional arrangement called the Constituent Assembly. And Constituent Assembly is not something which can be corroborated with the Parliament. Okay, Constituent Assembly formulates the Constitution, and it's the Constitution only which makes the provision of government and its organs. But in case of an unwritten Constitution, since there exists no Constituent Assembly, so it's basically the Parliament only which makes the or which formulates the unwritten Constitution. On the basis of what? Conventions, traditions, customs, etc. So these are some basic differences between the written and unwritten type of constitution. One more difference. See, whenever you talk about the constitution, it is obvious that you must also talk about the different provisions of the constitution. And when it comes to the different provisions of the constitution, they might be classified into three different classes, three different types. See, here I'm going to mention provisions of the constitution. Provisions of the constitution. Okay. Here constitutions means it can be written one, it can be unwritten one, no issue. See, the provisions of the constitution may be of three different types. Okay. There might be a possibility that all the provisions of a constitution are rigid ones. There might also be a possibility that all the provisions of a constitution are flexible ones. And at the same time, there might also be a possibility that the provisions of the constitution are basically an amalgamation of both the kinds of provisions, namely the rigid and flexible. R plus F. Okay. See, in case of a written constitution, all such three possibilities are open. Means for a written constitution, their provisions may be totally rigid, their provisions may be totally flexible, and third possibility is their provisions may be a unique blend of rigidity and flexibility both. But always remember, whenever you are talking about an unwritten constitutional provisions, means the provisions of an unwritten constitution, remember their provisions are always flexible. Always flexible. Means in case of an unwritten constitution, you find no rigid provision. There all provisions are flexible in nature. So on the ground of constitutional provision 2, we can make differentiation between the written and unwritten constitution. One more point of differentiation which you need to know. See, as I told you yesterday, that it's the constitution of a country itself which let us know that what is the nature of polity existed in the country. Okay, means nature of polity. Constitution demonstrates the fact that what sort of or what nature of polity exists in a country. And when it comes to the nature of polity, it can be of three different types. Either the nature of polity of a country is unitary of type, or federal of type, or quasi-federal. Quasi-federal. See, these are the three prominent natures of polity whenever we talk about a country where democratic norms are to be followed. Okay. Since Indian constitution is a democratic constitution, so whenever we talk about even the other global constitutions, we simply try to demonstrate only those worldly constitutions which are basically democratic in nature, because comparisons are always made in the same class, not in different classes. Anyway, so it's the constitution itself which makes us know about the fact that what is the nature of polity exist in a country. And whenever it comes to the nature of polity existed in a country, we are having only three different choices. One is the unitary, other is the federal, and third one is the quasi-federal, right? See, now make a comparative assessment between the written and unwritten constitution. Suppose in a country there exists a written type of constitution, and suppose you are being asked about the fact that please tell me what shall be the nature of polity existed in a country. In a country means the country which is having a written type of constitution. See, for that country, all the three options are open. Means the nature of polity of a country where exists a written type of constitution may be either the unitary nature of polity, or the federal nature of polity, or the quasi-federal nature of polity. But in case of an unwritten constitution, wherever you find an unwritten constitution, the nature of polity existed in that country is always and always unitary. Always and always unitary. Never federal, never quasi-federal. Have you got my point? So these are some points of differentiations between the written and unwritten constitutions. Is it okay to all of you? Yes. See, on global basis, there are only 4 constitutions which are basically the unwritten constitutions, and those unwritten constitutions are the constitution of the UK, that is United Kingdom, means Britain. Second one is the constitution of New Zealand. Third one is the constitution of Israel. Fourth one is the constitution of Saudi Arabia. Okay, constitution of Saudi Arabia. Only these 4 unwritten constitutions exist throughout the world. Apart from them, wherever you find democratic countries, you will always find written type of constitutions, written constitutions. And as I told you, a written constitution might be totally rigid, it might be totally flexible, it might be a blend of, a mixture of, an amalgamation of rigid provisions as well as flexible provisions, both. For example, the constitution of the USA, listen me carefully, the constitution of the USA is a written type of constitution, but its all provisions are rigid. All provisions are rigid. The constitution of Sri Lanka is again no doubt a written type of constitution, but the provisions of Sri Lankan constitution are totally flexible. The constitution of India is also a written type of constitution, but our provisions are basically the mix of or mixture of rigidity and flexibility both. That's it. This is all about how to make distinctions between the two different types of constitution, one the written constitution and other the unwritten constitution. Now, please ask me the queries if you are having any doubt over whatever we discussed till now in today's class. I'm going to open this, and after taking your doubt, reading upon making you write the notes based on this discussion. Yes. Do you have any query? Is it clear to all of you?
Yes,
What are the differences found between
Yes,
the
sir.
written constitution and unwritten constitution?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
now please write down. Please write down.
Okay, sir.
Yes. Your heading would be classification of constitution. Take down. Constitutions are broadly classified on the basis of two different patterns. Listen me again. Constitutions are broadly classified on the basis of two different patterns. First, according to their documentation, and second, according to the philosophy given in them. Second, according to the philosophy given in them. Now please proceed on first mode of distinction, means according to documentation. On the basis of documentation, constitutions are classified into the forms of written and unwritten constitutions. On the basis of documentation, constitutions are classified into the form of written and unwritten constitutions. Now, please go ahead with written constitution. Take down the heading, written constitution, and put a dash and then proceed accordingly. Written constitutions are mostly MOSTLY. Written constitutions are mostly brought into legal existence as a result of some sorts of conscious decisions, CONSCIOUS, some sorts of conscious decisions to be taken by the Constituent Assembly. It is always given in the form of a single legal document. Take out this point, a single legal document. See, unwritten constitutions are also the documents, but they are not given in the form of a single document. Rather, they are given in the form of fractional documents, multiple documents. They are basically the group of documents, right? It is always given in the form of single document. Please proceed. A written constitution is always enacted one, ENACTED. A written constitution is always enacted one, which means that it is brought into legal existence. It is brought into legal existence on certain specific date. On certain specific date. For example, the Constitution of India, was brought into legal existence on November 26, 1949. November 26, 1949. See, this is basically the date of enactment of Indian Constitution, right? For example, the Constitution of India was brought into legal existence on November 26, 1949, which is basically the date of enactment of India's written constitution. Which is basically the date of enactment of India's written constitution. And see, why India only? Wherever you find a written constitution, you will always observe some sort of date of enactment. Fine. And this is the date of enactment of India's written constitution. In case of, in separate sentence, take down please. In case of a written constitution, when we proceed, PROCEED, in case of a written constitution, when we proceed to observe, the powers to be enjoyed, by the different organs of the government, namely the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary, we always find that the judiciary enjoys greater autonomy as comparison to the other organs of the government, namely the legislative and the executive. For example, the judiciary can review the acts and decisions. The judiciary can review, REVIEW. The judiciary can review the acts and decisions taken by the legislative authority as well as the executive authority. The judiciary can review the acts and decisions taken by the legislative authority or the executive authority on the grounds of conformity means resemblance, CONFIR. You should write conformity, CONFIRMITY. On the grounds of conformity or non-conformity with the constitutional provisions. In simplest possible term, you can understand it in a manner like if the decisions of legislative and executive are violating the constitutional provision, in that situation, the judiciary can declare those decisions as invalid or unconstitutional. Right? Fine. Yes. Please attach one thing more in your writing. In case of, in separate sentence, in case of a written constitution, their provisions might be rigid, then put a comma, flexible, or both, depending upon the willingness of the constituent assembly, depending upon the willingness of the constituent assembly regarding the induction of constitutional provisions. Regarding the induction means incorporation, regarding the induction of the constitutional provisions. For example, the Constitution of the USA is a written constitution which is totally rigid one, means all the provisions of US Constitution are rigid. Then put a comma. The Constitution of Sri Lanka is also a written constitution, but its provisions are totally flexible. The Constitution of India is also a written constitution. The Constitution of India is also a written constitution, but its provisions are rigid and flexible both. But its provisions are rigid and flexible both. Is it okay to all of you? One more point in a separate sentence, take down in the same queue. Whenever it comes to recognize the nature of polity existed, whenever it comes to recognize the nature of polity existence in a country having a written type of constitution, there always exists a possibility of the existence of either a unitary nature of polity or a federal nature of polity or a mixture of the two, that is quasi-federal nature of polity. That's it. This is all about a written constitution. Now change the paragraph and put down the subtitle unwritten constitution, then make a dash. Unwritten constitution. An unwritten constitution is that type of legal entity which is always given in the form of a group of documents. Always given in the form of a group of documents. And make a bracket please, and under bracket write down hereto The provisions in those documents are given in writing. Is it okay? Means the provisions of unwritten constitution are not something to, float in air. They are also given in verbal form. Bracket close. In order to formulate an unwritten constitution, there exists no constituent assembly. Take out this point. There exists no constituent assembly. There exists no constituent assembly. In a separate sentence, take down. An unwritten constitution is not a result of something to be done all over the sudden. Is not a result of something to be done all over the sudden. Rather, it's a result of, the practices followed in longer period of time. The practices which have been followed in a longer period of time. It is based on the customs, traditions, and the conventions followed in a country for a longer period of time. It always undergoes, means an unwritten constitution always undergoes this way, UNDERGOES. It always undergoes through the phases of evolution. This is the reason why an unwritten constitution is always referred to as the evolved constitution. Evolved, EVOLVED. This is the reason why an unwritten constitution is always referred to as an evolved constitution and not an enacted constitution. After full stop, please proceed and take down. Here, after here put a comma. Here we find no date of enactment. In a separate sentence, take down. Out of the different organs of the government, we get to know that the legislative enjoys the supremacy. The legislative organ of the government enjoys the supremacy. And the judiciary enjoys the limited power. Which means that the judiciary can declare the decisions taken by the executive invalid, taken by the executive invalid on the ground of if the decision violates the constitutional provision. If the decision violates the constitutional provision. But it cannot declare the decisions. It cannot declare the decisions taken by the legislative invalid. It cannot declare the decisions taken by the legislative invalid on the grounds of violation of constitution. On the grounds of violation of constitution. This is because of the fact that in case of an unwritten constitution, there exists actually no difference. There exists actually no difference between a constitutional law and a parliamentary law. Here the constitution itself is the result of the parliament. Here the constitution itself is the result of the parliament. Take down under bracket. While in case of a written constitution, it is the constitution itself which gives birth to the parliament. Means parliament is the result of constitution in case of written constitution. But in case of an unwritten constitution, here the constitution itself is the result of the parliament. Okay? Yes, take down in separate sentence. In case of an unwritten constitution, the provisions of the constitution are always flexible. The provisions of the constitution are always flexible. And the nature of polity existed is always unitary. Take out these 2 points. Always flexible, always unitary. Is it okay to all of you? Yes.
Yes, sir.
This is what the basic difference between the written and unwritten type of constitution. See, if you trace the evolution of an unwritten constitution, it is basically the United Kingdom only, which is credited with giving birth to an unwritten constitution, and the history of unwritten constitution can be traced back to year 1215 AD, when there used to be a king in the UK named John I. So King John I in year 1215 AD signed a Magna Carta. Magna Carta is basically a charter. Charter means something which embedded with different classes of rights, and that Magna Carta is basically considered as the foundation stone of what? Existence of unwritten constitution. On the basis of that Magna Carta only, the tradition to go on for unwritten constitution was started. Is it okay? And second point, which you may make a mention in the form of a note, like note 1. Take down note 1. It is the constitution of the UK. Note 1. It is the constitution of the UK. Which has given the concept of parliamentary form of the government to the global fraternity. It is the constitution of the UK, which gives the concept of parliamentary form of government to the global society. Second note, it is the constitution of the UK which gives the concept of the rule of law. I will make you understand what is meant by rule of law when we proceed on in our syllabus, but not right now. Just make a mention for the time being. Note 2, it is the constitution of the UK which gives the concept of the rule of law to the global fraternity or global society. Third point, there are only 4 countries in the world which are having the unwritten constitutions, and they are the UK, New Zealand, Saudi Arabia, and Israel. That's it. This is all about the written and unwritten type of constitution. Now take down a question for assignment. Question number 1. Discuss the different characteristic features of a written constitution. Question number 1. And you need to answer the questions which I am giving to you in about 150 to 200 words. Okay. Take down. Question number 1. Discuss the different characteristic features of a written constitution. Question number 2. Make a difference between an enacted constitution and an evolved constitution. Don't be confused. Evolved constitution means unwritten constitution. Enacted constitution means written constitution. There might be a possibility that the question be asked in a manner like enacted and evolved, not in a manner like written and unwritten, because written and unwritten, don't you think it seems something more straightforward? So you should know that written constitution is also known as enacted constitution. Unwritten constitution is also known as evolved constitution, and if these are known to you, I don't think there would be any difficulty in writing the answer to the question which have been provided to you. That's it. So first way of classification we have discussed today, and the second way of classification we will discuss tomorrow, and that is basically on the basis of values, on the basis of philosophy inherent in the constitution. What are the types of constitution? And in due course of having a coverage of second brand of classifying the constitution, I will also let you know about the concept of constitutionalism and constitutional morality. Tomorrow's topic is very important for written examination point of view. From that dimension itself, last year in general studies, not in paper 2 but in paper 4, there was a question, what is constitutional morality, in IS Mains Shiksha. Okay, so after having a coverage of tomorrow's lecture, you will be in a position to address that question. Okay, then I'm going to terminate today's lecture. If you are having any doubt or difficulty, you can please ask me.